The IS-3 heavy tank, first shown to the world at the Berlin Victory Parade of 1945, came as a huge surprise to Western powers. Compared to the German vehicles the Allies had just fought, the new tank looked like a guest from the future, which was perceived as an alarming signal. The Cold War hadn't started yet, but the military were wary of potential clash with the Soviets in Western Europe, and the new tank didn't exactly put them at ease. At the same time, the IS-3 quickly fell out of favor in its motherland. It turned out that the design had a number of reliability problems with its engine, transmission, and even frontal armor. It was hardly surprising, though, as the tank was designed in a hurry during the war. Not to mention that there was already a successor in the works. The tank that many deemed worthy of becoming the next main heavy tank of the Red Army, the IS-7. This design began in 1944. A team led by Yusuf Yakovlevich Kurtin had a goal of creating the most advanced vehicle permitted by the current level of technology and industry. Combat experience accumulated during the war, as well as intensive experimentation, prompted the developer to create a highly mobile tank with superior defensive capabilities. Initially, the tank had to receive the time-tested D-25T gun, but as early as 1945, the team behind the project started experimenting with a 130mm cannon. During development, the new vehicle, then known as the Object 260, was equipped with a compact automatic loading assistance device, an automatic fire extinguishing system, remote-controlled machine guns, a special gearbox, and a quality fire control system. First, the developer wanted to use telescopic sights with an optical rangefinder, but at some point the team considered even a radar-based targeting system. While the development was still ongoing, the tank got a new name, IS-7. During field tests in 1948, the design proved to be very effective. This 68-ton, heavily armored giant turned out to be pretty mobile and easy to handle, while still retaining amazing defensive capabilities. Its pike nose armor, incorporating the lessons learned with the IS-3, was nigh impenetrable. By some accounts, during one of the field tests, dogs put inside the tank's fighting compartment were completely undisturbed by the incoming fire. Thanks to the incorporation of an automatic loading assistance device, the tank had a fire rate of around 6 rounds per minute, quite an achievement given the caliber of the gun. The 1050 horsepower M50T diesel engine, derived from a naval marine engine, also performed pretty well too. Obviously, the tests were not without incident. For example, one of the prototypes burned down, despite both sets of internal extinguishers firing. The cause of the fire was thought to have originated with the weight-saving plastic-lined canvas fuel tanks, yet another of experimental features of the IS-7. Due to a number of reasons, the story of the IS-7 finished soon after trials, basically before it properly began. Even the Soviet post-war economy, with huge resources dedicated to the growth of military industry, couldn't afford such an expensive vehicle. Not to mention that, given its sheer weight, it was a logistical nightmare. That's why, as opposed to the imperfect IS-3 that actually made it into the field, the IS-7 was never accepted into mass production, with some parts of its design later used while developing the T-10 heavy tank. Today, the IS-7 can be found in the Kubinka Tank Museum and in War Thunder as well. In the game, the IS-7 is a gift-heavy tank belonging to the Soviet tech tree. It has a BR of 8.3, which means that it's often pitted against first-generation MBTs, modern IFVs, tank destroyers armed with AT missiles, and even helicopters. And you know what? For a tank of its age, the IS-7 is surprisingly comfortable in this company. Despite its incredible weight, the IS-7 can easily go at 40 kph in off-road conditions, and at up to 60 kph on a road, and 23 kph in reverse. That's the kind of mobility you see on, for example, the BMP-2, a much lighter IFV that is still being used today. Furthermore, the tank's 130mm cannon has both access to powerful rounds and a pretty good fire rate. It takes the assisted loader only 10 seconds to load a shell to your first-order ammo rack, which is only 3 seconds slower than what you get on a Western MBT using the L7 cannon. When it comes to armor, the IS-7 can withstand hits by APHE and APHEBC rounds, and sometimes early subcaliber shells as well as some APF-STS rounds. At the same time, more advanced munitions of this class can easily pierce the tank's defenses, if not directly through its frontal armor, then through the area around the mantlet. Heat rounds and ATGM are especially dangerous. That's why, for example, the tiny M56 is such a threat to the Soviet giant. If needed, the IS-7 can be played as a breakthrough tank, or at the very least, as an aggressive fire support. Even helicopters should be wary of it, as a good burst from a KPVT heavy machine gun can easily bring down a reckless bird. All in all, the IS-7 plays pretty much like an MBT, just a sturdier and somewhat less agile one. Even though the IS-7 was easily one of the most advanced tank designs of its time, Soviet decision-makers chose to rely on lighter vehicles like the T-54. In fact, there were quite a lot of post-war heavy tanks sharing the same fate, like the American M103 or the French experimental AMX-50. A sad ending for a generation of steel giants, or, some say, a natural response to the ever-changing realities of modern war. What do you think? Please tell us in the comments below. We'd love to know.